USC, of course, had a short undefeated run through the regular season before losing the Pac-12 championship game and opted out of postseason play in 2020. But most teams across the country trying to forget that season anyway and look forward to 2021. Don't have an exact date on spring practice, but most likely here in just a couple weeks. We got Matt Lowry on the line from Conquest Chronicles. Please join him and the rest of the crew on over at SB Nation. Matt, how we doing today?
Doing pretty good. And I know you mentioned it. We haven't heard anything about spring practice quite yet. I'm sure they're still trying to figure out how they're going to do it. There's been a lot of workouts, conditioning, but the moment they say it's a go or the moment it happens, I know we'll know a lot about it and we'll get to it, but be prepared for it to start here pretty shortly, actually.
Well, let's get to the defense here because that's what you wanted to talk about, and for good reason. A lot of shakeups in the back seven. So let's start at linebacker and the way things stand right there and who you expect to need to step up.
Well, starting at linebacker, and this has been a thing for the Trojans because, as we've mentioned before, I want to say months ago and even through the season, that the depth at linebacker is something that has been kind of troubling, to say the least. Just looking at it, you know, that you have what is considered now the B backer or the outside linebacker and Todd Orlando's defense. You have Drake Jackson, who is now considered a linebacker, although it's more of an edge rusher. He has that position locked up. You can expect to see Hunter Echols, who also decided to stay for a senior season, as well as Giuliano Palalenko. Those guys will see rotational time. So I would expect that we would see Drake Jackson. He has that position locked up. That's, you know, and having him back, that's a huge thing. Now, the biggest thing is at middle is at MAC linebacker, at the middle linebacking position, where now you kind of have to figure out where you go from there. The reason I say that is because, again, Palote Neoteote ended up transferring. Now, we don't know where he's going to transfer to. We haven't heard anything about where he's transferring to or if he's going to return. There's nothing that has come out about that. But USC did try to shape up that position in recruiting, thankfully. But again, you have some solid names here. You have Raylan Garforth, who actually had a pretty solid season. I want to say his freshman year, 2020. It was kind of shaky. But you get two key guys coming back. You have Solomon Tuiatapupu, if I'm pronouncing his name right, excuse me. You have him returning, and he missed the last 2 years due to injury. And everyone remember he came out of Mater Dei. A lot of excitement about him. Missed his freshman season due to injury. Was expected to have a big role, however, was injured before the 2020 season. You also have Jordan Iosefa, who was also hurt last year as well. Had again another guy who had a lot of injuries, loads of injuries last season. But again, he could, you know, he could finally be healthy and see some rotational time if there's a struggle or if you need to rotate guys in and out. Also, Taylor Katoa. That's a name we haven't heard in a while. He's been out serving I believe a 2 to 3 year LDS mission. We knew that when he committed to USC that he would be gone serving that mission, but he returns to the team. Also had an ACL. He also tore his ACL as well before last season. So thankfully, USC has some depth at the MAC backer, but a lot of guys who are either returning from injury or have not seen playing time due to injury. So you have that. Moving over to the Rover linebacker, this is a position I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out. You have Kaani Mauga, who was also another solid linebacker, will give you some solid rotation time. He returns. You have Elijah Winston, who also saw some playing time, but he was also injured as well. He ended up seeing rotational time in and out during last season, but again, injuries hampered him at that position. And their freshman linebacker, Rajon Davis. Now, if you remember here, Rajon Davis was an LSU commit. He was committed to LSU for quite some time, decommitted from LSU, and on National Signing Day, he committed to the Trojans, which a lot of people saw after his decommitment from LSU. Expect him to see some playing time. One of the top linebackers in California in that 2021 recruiting class, Mark. So it's hard to not see him get playing time this coming season. So linebackers, again, it's an interesting bunch because you have guys returning from injury. You have some key guys returning, but at the same time, you have guys who are unproven. So this is going to be an interesting bunch to see how all of it shapes up this coming season.
Mayuga, a good guy to have back, second on the team with 41 tackles. And yeah, you mentioned Rajon Davis, probably not pronouncing his first name. I know there's a specific pronunciation to it. Looks like Rajon Davis, but you said it right. I did not. I'm going to get used to that. But stayed at home when it all came to roost and the dust settled after he had committed to LSU, as you mentioned, out of Santa Ana as the 4th rated outside linebacker in the country. And maybe even Julian Simon, who's a top recruit, 8th rated outside linebacker in the country. Maybe he out of Washington can make his presence known here in 21, even though unfortunately neither one of them's on campus and will participate in the spring. They'll be here at USC in June to get those individual workouts in. We got Matt Lowry on the line breaking down the USC Trojans a couple weeks away from spring practice. Exactly when, we don't know, but we'll keep you updated, of course. And his crew over on SB Nation's Conquest Chronicles will, of course. All right, let's turn to the defensive backfield. And I hate to lose one of the better players in the country there. Talanoa Hufanga, I always loved watching him play. He was all over the place, making great plays, led the team in tackles for loss, sacks. He had 4 interceptions on the season, just a big loss.
Yeah, it's hard to replace production like that when you have Talanoa Hufanga. As you mentioned, he lined up all over the place, was making plays all over the place. His production is going to be missed severely. And the biggest thing is now, how do you replace that production? Well, you don't replace it. It's hard to replace what Talanoa Hufanga does. You have to have somebody step up into that role. And they have loads of options from there. There's been talk about moving Greg Johnson to safety. There's been talk about moving him to safety and having somebody else step into that nickelback position, whether it's Max Williams or Britton Allen. You would have to think Max Williams will slot into the nickelback situation, moving Greg Johnson over to safety to try to replicate that, which means now, and this is some good news here, you have a Isaiah Palumau who also returns. Now, if you lost him and Hufanga, now you're really talking about trying to replace production at the safety position. But Palumau is somebody, he doesn't provide the same production as Hufanga, but again, somebody who is solid and a veteran at safety who you can rely on. You can move him to strong and move Johnson to free, or you can have Johnson at strong and move Hufanga to free. Either way, it could work out, and you have Max Williams at the nickel position. But if not, then you have to look at where you go from there to replace that production. You have, I believe you have Chase Williams, who's also coming back. If I'm even getting the name right, you have him coming back. Again, you can go a number of ways at the safety position. Now, another guy we are not bringing up, whose production is going to be, and by the way, it is Chase Williams. So, but another guy that we're forgetting, and who's gone for the NFL draft, is Elijah Griffin. Elijah Griffin was very solid at his position because not many people threw his way. He was pretty much on an island, one of the Pac-12's top corners, if not, I believe, the top corner in the Pac-12. He's gone for the NFL draft. So how do you replace his production? Well, you have Isaac Taylor Stewart, who probably slots in on opposite of Chris Steele. We know Chris Steele has one side locked down. You have the other side. Is it Taylor Stewart? Will he take that spot? That could be a possibility. You have Adonis Ote, excuse me, who could also slot into that. Or you have a freshman, an interesting freshman at that. You have Sayer Wright, who is an incoming freshman, could also see some good playing time. Now, again, the interesting thing about him, he won't be on campus in the spring. That is and that is due to him playing high school football. That is due to him playing high school football in California, which that is currently now a go. California, or high school football in California, it will also be going this spring. So he won't be on campus until possibly the summer. Not to mention, he's been acting as well. For people who don't know, Sayer Wright also does a lot of acting on his spare time. And also he has a movie coming out too, Mark. I don't know if you noticed that. He got a movie coming out soon, Space Jam 2.
Space Jam 2?
He's in Space Jam 2 with LeBron James. He's playing LeBron James' son in Space Jam 2. So
that's quite the gig.
So it is. So he could also see some playing time as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, he's one of the top corners in California. Could also see some playing time as well. But USC, they're still in a good place in the secondary. Although you lost Talanoa Hufanga, that's going to be noticeable. You lost Elijah Griffin, that's going to be noticeable. That we're not saying it's not going to be noticeable, but USC, I think, have the guys who have enough game experience, and enough, how can I say it? They have enough experience to get them by this season in the Pac-12.
So again, in the secondary, the possibilities from the current recruiting class, and as Matt pointed out, pretty much all the early enrollees are on the offensive side, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So you got Sierra Wright. Yeah, we talked about him, and then catch him in Space Jam too. But sixth-rated cornerback in the country, right out there in LA. Prophet Brown's another top prospect. He must be a junior college guy based on his rankings here. So you got Prophet Brown.
He's out of Intercom High School in Sacramento. Prophet Brown is I don't think he's an early enrollee, but he committed quite a while ago.
Okay. The only reason I said that about junior college is because of his 247 Sports rankings, and anytime they seem out of whack, that typically means they're a junior college guy, because he's not ranked at the top of the class, and they've got him listed as the number one positional. Actually, I think they got him at number 11 cornerback in the country. Okay. And then we won't forget about Xavier Alford coming in from Texas as a transfer at safety, and he could provide some help. We certainly talked to you about his transfer, and he played at Texas, so he's got experience.
And he was a Todd Orlando guy. He played in Todd Orlando's defense at Texas, so that's somebody who's very familiar with that. I wouldn't be shocked. And again, if they don't move Greg Johnson, to safety like the talk has been, then I could see him starting when week 1 comes around, when they play San Jose State. I could see him starting the week 1 game, possibly going into week 2 as a starter.